Hi everybody, welcome to episode 29 of the Inspired Knitting Podcast. I am your host Bobby and I am coming to you from New Brunswick, Canada. Today is May the 15th, 2018. I would first like to start off by welcoming any new viewers who may be tuning into the podcast for the first time. Welcome. And to returning viewers, welcome back. This is a podcast primarily about my knitting and crocheting and a little bit of sewing, which I'm super excited about, and whatever crafty goodness I can get myself into next. So yeah, you can find me on Ravelry as XCountryGirl1986X. And there's also a group for the podcast over there as well. It's Inspired Knitting Podcast. Oh my gosh. You can also find me on Instagram as Inspired Knitting Podcast as well. Sorry, I can't talk apparently. You can send me an email at sweetcomfortdesigns@gmail.com if you wish to reach out to me. I'm going to say that sending me a message on Ravelry or through email is the best way. I've had some people send me messages on Instagram and I did not receive them. So Ravelry, I check it at least once a day, as well as my emails. So that's really the best way to reach out to me if you wish to. And I do encourage it because I love hearing from you guys. So don't be shy. So yeah, it was a relatively great week. It got off to a little bit of a rough start, however. I was cooking supper, and I believe it was supper, and I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing, and I ended up slicing my finger open pretty good. So yeah, I thought I would have needed stitches for it just because it looked pretty bad. It ended up, it was bleeding through, and that night it looked like it had stopped bleeding through, and I think it was the next morning or something it ended up breaking open again. So I was like, oh gosh, do I need to go get stitches? But all turned out to be okay. I'm fine. But unfortunately, because of that, my knitting kind of took a halt because it was really hurting. I knit continental style, so the finger that I injured is what I use to push on my needle to get like my stitches off. So yeah, I'm not going to show you guys because it's healed, but it still looks rather disgusting, so you don't need to see that. But anyways, I did manage to get some knitting done this week. I had to work with the more thinner yarns, like the fingering weight yarns and that, just because they're more easier to work with and not so rough to deal with, or tough to deal with, I should say. So anyways, there was that. But otherwise, it was a great week. On Tuesday, I think it was, my boyfriend and his daughter Kaylee and we went into Moncton to run some errands, and we took a quick side trip to Fabricville, which was awesome. It was my second time ever being in Fabricville. I had first gone into Fabricville when I moved to Moncton a couple years ago, and it was pretty awesome. I went there just to get like some knitting needles at the time, because they sell the knit picks, and I can't remember the name of them. They're the wooden ones. They look like a rainbow. So yeah, they sell those. So I went there to get some of them, but yeah, I forgot that Fabricville sells like yarn and buttons and all that fun stuff. So it was a lot of fun to go around. Not really wheelchair accessible. Not exactly, just because everything's kind of, crammed together. But there was some places I couldn't get, obviously, but that's okay. I did get some yarn and some fabric and buttons. I'm gonna share all that stuff with you in stash. I didn't bring the yarn out just because it's nothing too exciting to show, but I did bring the buttons and the fabric. fabric, so I'll share with you what I got. So yeah, there was that, and then Sunday was Mother's Day, and so happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful moms out there. I got a really nice surprise. I'm not the most observant person in the world, so I get up and my desk, if you were to walk in the front door of our house, we kind of have like an open concept. So we kind of have like this foyer, and then we have our kitchen, a small dining area of sorts, and then we have our living room. Well, in the front foyer off to the side beside the front door is where I have my desk that's set up with like my computer and all my knitting and stuff like that. So yeah, there was this beautiful bouquet of purple flowers and a beautiful like a big Cadbury chocolate bar that had like hazelnuts in it. And I didn't even notice it at first. I come out for something, and then when I come back, they're like smiling at me, and they're like, "Do you notice anything?" And I was like, no. And then I looked towards my table, and I was like, oh my god. So that was really sweet. I still failed to notice something else because above my desk I have like a clock set up, and my boyfriend had gotten me this beautiful plaque, and I think it says love who you are and love what you do, something like that. It's so beautiful and it's so pretty. It's got a red heart on it. Absolutely fitting. He thought that was very much me, and I do agree it is. So I just love that, and it was a beautiful surprise from both of them. I love them so much. They are my world. So yeah, just love them to pieces. That wasn't it though. I was told to get myself ready, and we were going out for a car ride. So I was like, okay, where are we going? And they said, oh, we're just going to go for a ride. You know, it was a beautiful sunny day, so we're just going to go for a ride. I love road trips. I love going on long drives. I don't care where. I just love that sort of thing. So I was like, okay, so I got myself ready. I didn't bring no knitting just because if I'm on a drive, you're looking more at the scenery, not knitting. So I thought, okay, I don't need to bring my knitting. Well, we did go for a little bit of a drive, and then 20 minutes down the road from us, we have an Irving big stop. And if you're not a maritimer and you're not quite sure, Irving is like a truck stop, but not all locations, but some of the big stop locations, they also have a restaurant. So it's really nice food, home cooked foods, and some Sundays, at least once or twice a month, we go there for breakfast. So we went there and we had breakfast for Mother's Day, and it was such a beautiful day. Kaylee was such a trooper though, and I felt so bad because she was having some problems. Her mouth was bothering her, like she has a swollen lymph node, and she was having some gum problems, so it was hard for her to eat. You could see that she was in pain, and she actually had to go to the hospital after. And she felt bad because she's like, this is Mother's Day, and I was like, no, you're in pain, you need to go. So she's okay now. She's got antibiotics and meds for it. So yeah, I know you're going to be watching this, so I love you, Kaylee. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for everything. She is so sweet too, because last week she actually got me a set of markers. They're dual tipped, so there's a fine point tip and then a bigger end on the other side of the marker. There's like 60 different colors, and it's for the adult coloring books. So when I have my downtime and I don't feel like knitting or reading or whatever, I color. So she knew for a while that I've been wanting to get a set of fine tip markers, so she got those for me as well. So she's a sweetheart. Kaylee actually has a channel on YouTube as well. No, I've said it before, but in case you're new, I'll just mention it again. You can find her on YouTube as Kaylee Harrington's Lifestyle 101, I believe it is, or Kaylee's Lifestyle 101. I'm going to put it in the down bar below so you guys can find her channel, but she does different videos. She's done some different reviews on like David's tea and that, and she does drawings and paintings, and she shared those. And she's also a crocheter and a knitter, so she has the Crochet and Knit podcast, so do go check her out. I don't know if she's going to be doing many videos now just because she'll be starting work very soon, but do check her out and send her some love. She is a very talented woman. So yeah. Other than that, it was a quiet weekend, but a great one, and I'm excited to share with you what I have been working on. So I'm just going to go on and start into that. So what am I going to start with? I'm going to start with this one first. So yes, I think I injured myself on last Monday, if I remember right. So anyway, the next morning I decided that I was going to cast on some dishcloths because I want to do some for the market that I have coming up. So this is really, really sad and pathetic. I cast it on for a dishcloth and I couldn't even knit it just because cotton has that stickier feel to it, so it doesn't necessarily want to slide too well. So yeah, this is Grandma's favorite dishcloth pattern. This is a modified pattern by PJ Allen, which is a free Ravelry download if you're interested. So there's two versions to this. You can get one, I think the original one has the eyelet holes that go down the side, or there's this modified version which doesn't have the holes at all, and I really like this version where it doesn't have the holes. The holes are pretty, the eyelet holes are pretty, but when you're doing the increase side, because you're increasing up to half of the size that you want, and then you're decreasing the other half, I find that on the decrease side, the eyelet holes, they look distorted to me. They don't look right. So I just like doing this version. I think it looks a little bit neater. But regardless, this is what I got done. This took me about 20 minutes. That's sad. But my finger was hurting so bad. I can put up with pain. I've put up with so much pain, but cut my finger and I turn into a big baby. I don't know. I know a couple people like that too, so maybe it's not just me, but anyways, I only got that much of a dishcloth done, so not much to write home about. However, I thought I would share it anyway. This is just some Burnett Handicrafter cotton, and it's in a pretty peach colorway. Really nice stuff. Michael's had a sale, I think it was like $2 a ball or something, so I ended up picking out a bunch of colors, and I'm just going to knit up a bunch for the market, like I said, so yeah. The next thing I've been working on, I've been wanting to cast on another baby blanket, so I had done one of these before, and I've been really wanting to cast another one on, and I did. So this is Vivid by Tincanknits, and it is a beautiful flowered laced motif square, and it's got like the garter border on it. So I really, really love this pattern. I think it is so beautiful, so classic. I just love it. So I had knit one of these before in a fingering weight, and this time I'm knitting it in a sport weight. So the yarn I'm using for this is, oh, it's just a bird. The yarn I'm using for this is Burnett Softy Baby. And the colorway that I'm using is Baby Denim Marl. So it works up to about a sport weight yarn. So it's this beautiful light blue, and it's marled with white. I don't know if my camera's going to pick that white up or not, but it's very subtle and very beautiful. It's just 100% acrylic yarn, nothing fancy. So yeah, this square is started off in the middle, and you do what is called a pinhole cast on. It can be done with knitting needles or with a crochet hook. I actually did it another way. I cast it on the number of stitches that is called for on a DPN, and then I just joined those stitches in the round and start knitting. You're not supposed to do that just because it creates a bigger hole. So what I have done is I just left a fair tail at the start, and then just use my tapestry needle to help close that hole up just slightly. So I guess any way works, right? Whatever you're happy with. So from there you just knit out in this beautiful lace motif, and then you do some increasing to get to your points, and it makes a beautiful square. So for this project, I started off by using my 3.25 DPNs, and then once I get to like the last row of my lace repeat, I then change over to my 16-inch circulars, and then I finish off the garter border and cast off. So yeah, it's really fun. I would not say this is beginner friendly just because of the lace. The lace isn't terrible, it's rather easy, but you do really need to concentrate on what you're doing. So I don't know, it's just very beautiful though. I really love this pattern. So this pattern is written up in fingering, sport, DK worsted, and maybe even like a bulky weight. So it's very versatile. You can do any weight you want. You just use the corresponding like needle sizes, and obviously the bigger yarn you choose and bigger needle, the bigger your square is going to end up. So she does have marked down the yardage for fingering and the sport weight, the worsted, and all that. So that's really nice to have. And I think she even puts down roughly how many squares you would need for each size. So it's a very lovely pattern. I love that it's written the way that it's written up. I believe it is written whoa, I almost lost you guys. It is written and charted as well, I believe. So that's really nice. So yeah, there's that one. So because I'm using the Softy Baby, the Softy Baby has about 362 yards of yarn, I believe. So if you're doing sport weight, you're going to be using 70 yards per square. So I have that one I just showed you, and I have 4 more. So roughly I've gotten 5 squares out of that ball of yarn. Now I think I might have been able to get another square out of it as well, but I'm not quite sure. If my math worked out correctly, I'm about 10 yards short, so I'm not going to chance it. So yeah, I'm just going to stick with that. I think 5 squares out of 1 ball of yarn is rather good. So for this baby blanket, I'm using this color here, and then I picked up, it's all Softy Baby, so I got a white one to go with the blue, and then I have another marl color. It's white and gray, like a light gray, and then I have a nice light gray to match with that one. So I think it'll look really pretty. I think the yarns look pretty together, so yeah, it'll be a nice blanket when it's done, I'm sure. So really happy to have this one on my needles. I've been wanting to cast this blanket on for a while. So yeah, pretty excited about that. Alright, so the next thing I have to share with you is another new cast on. So, sorry about the trucks, guys. So yesterday, Sunday, I wanted something quick to throw in my bag while we were on the road. So we got back from breakfast, and then, like I said, Kaylee had to go to the hospital. So I wanted something quick to throw in my bag so we can go back in the car and wait for her. So I just decided to grab a sock, some yarn. I had caked up one of my Allison Barnes yarns on Saturday. So I just grabbed that and decided to cast a sock on. It was something quick. I knew I could knit on it, and yeah, so that's what I did. So I decided that I was going to cast on my Rita sock. And here is what I have so far. So for this one, I kind of messed up on it. She does a 1x1 twisted rib for the cuff. I accidentally did a 2x2. That's okay. It's not twisted rib either, but I'm fine with that. That's okay. But here is the pattern. How pretty is that, guys? It's just these beautiful diamond shapes, and that does go around the whole sock. And I'm doing this on a 2.0 millimeter needle. These are my Knitter's Pride carbons, and I am doing a 56 stitch count. So when I first casted this on, and it's still the same, I cast it on for the 64 stitch count, just because that's what I usually do. So I thought because I'm using the smaller needles that it would be okay. However, this is my second time doing the leg of the sock. I got through like 2 repeats of this diamond pattern, and I realized that it was turning out way too big. I knew right away that I wasn't going to like it when it was finished, so I ended up tearing it all back and re-knitting it. This here I pulled out this all yesterday, I believe, and then this morning I knit this much, so it works up really, really quick. This was a couple hours knitting at least, so yeah, it works up really fast. But I'm much happier with what I have now. That looks much better. So 64 stitches I cast it on for. I then decreased down to 56, and now I'm working the leg in 56 stitch count. So she has the stitch count for small, medium, and large. So there's 56 stitches, 64 stitches, and 72, I think it is. So she has the 3 different sizes. And yeah, highly recommend it. It's a beautiful, beautiful pattern. Super simple. And yes, just adore it. So this pattern is by Dani of the Little Bobbins podcast. She goes by Danielle George. You can find this pattern on Ravelry. It is a paper pattern. It is part of her Vintage Love Story collection. So there is the Cereal Socks, which I actually just shared with you guys on my last podcast. So there's the Cereal Socks, there's the Rita Socks, and then there's one more that she just released not too long ago, and it was the third and the final pattern in the collection, which is the Forever and Always socks, which they are very beautiful as well. They have a beautiful cable on them as well, so highly recommend this collection. She has beautiful patterns. She writes them up so nicely, so do head over and check her out. Dani is a lovely, lovely lady, and if you don't know her podcast, you have to check it out because she is just the sweetest. So yeah, these are my Rita socks, and I just got my little family tree on there. I thought that was rather fitting. Dani, if you do buy the patterns, she has a lovely story to go Allison Barnes yarn. This is from the April Fibre Club of the Month. So I ended up getting the 2 skeins. You can get just her color of the month. You can get 2 skeins of the color of the month, or you can get the color of the month in a semi-solid, but you can get up to 4 skeins of yarn. So I end up getting 2 skeins, so I got the color of the month and the semi-solid. So this is the semi-solid. So here's her beautiful tag, and this is her basic sock base, which is an 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon, and it is so soft. It's 420 yards or 115 grams, and it's in the Morning Mist colorway, which is a beautiful minty green color. So beautiful. I'm a little sad because this is my first time ordering from Allison Barnes, and I've heard so many good things about her. Her yarn is absolutely stunning. It's so beautiful. Here's the cake. So my only problem is when I went to wind this up, it was in hank form, and when you open up your hank, you have the inside and the outside strand that are tied together, and I don't know if it was the way it was wound up. I'm not sure what happened, but both inside and outside strands were all tangled throughout the skein or the hank. So it was on my yarn swift, and we were trying to weave it through, and it ended up taking us a little over a half an hour to get it into a ball form, and then from ball form into cake. So I was a little disappointed by that, but like I said, this is my first time ordering from her, and I know that can happen, so that's okay. So hopefully the other skein isn't like that. I'm pretty sure that's going to be my Forever and Always socks. That will be my next cast on, most likely. So yeah, but do go over and check Allison Barnes out. She has some beautiful colorways, and she is located out West Canada. And yeah, you can get her Fibre Fix Box of the Month, which is every month, and like I said, you can get either just 1 skein or up to 4. So beautiful colorways. So do check her out and send her some love. Okay, sorry about that, guys. My phone rang. So, okay, that was my Rita Socks by Danielle George, which is a paid for pattern on Ravelry. So do go check it out. So I have another works in progress here. So this one is just housed in a project bag that I made last summer. Nothing too fancy, just a zippered pouch. So housed in here is my Suburban Wrap, and this is by Jorge Locatelli. So I'm just going to put this over here so I don't lose it. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to start off by showing you what I've done so far. So here is the bottom portion, and then it is a wrap style, and yeah, hope you guys are seeing that okay. The wind's pretty good today. Again, this is actually my second time podcasting. I came out here yesterday to film this, which is why I'm doing this on a Tuesday. Supposed to do it on a Sunday, but Sunday was busy, so I thought I would get it in yesterday, and then I filmed the whole thing, but I just didn't like the way it turned out. The wind was really, really bad yesterday. It was gusting pretty good, and I lost the camera like twice, kind of like earlier. And then there was a helicopter that went over, and overall it just wasn't a good podcast, so I decided to refilm today. But anyways, this is my Suburban Wrap. So the last time I podcasted, I believe I was down here. This is just my little Dragonfly from Now, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but I think it's Chalapa Cottage Designs. She sells these beautiful stitch markers and progress keepers on Etsy, and I'll be sure to link her Etsy shop below so you guys can check her out. But yeah, last time I had done this beautiful eyelet section here, so now I put in this textured section, another eyelet section, some more texture, and then I started to stripe in my first color into the green here, and now I'm up into this beautiful lace pattern here. So it's coming along really, really well. This got a lot of love from me last week just because, yeah, like I said, working on the fingering weight yarn was pretty much all I could do. So this got a ton of attention, and I'm really happy with the way that it's turning out. I just love it. So I'll quickly go over the colors that I'm using just in case you are new to the podcast. So this color here, it is a 3-color fingering weight shawl. I don't think I mentioned that. So this color here, color number 1, is Knit Pick Stroll Fingering, and it is in the Basset Heather colorway. So it's like a taupey brown, kind of grayish. It's got some red flecks in it, which I don't think the camera will pick that up. And then it moves on up into color 2, which is Rosebud, which is a color by Barnyard Knits. And then this beautiful green, which I love. This is also Barnyard Knits, and this is in her Grasshopper colorway. So absolutely beautiful. I wasn't sure about this colorway here at first. When I had them all caked up together, they looked pretty, but as I started to knit it, I was kind of regretting this color. I don't know, it just didn't seem vibrant enough, but it's okay. I'm liking it more. It's growing on me. So, yeah, that is what I have so far. It is absolutely beautiful. And I must say, it's working up a lot faster than I thought it would. It's not worked across many stitches, but for some reason I thought that it would take a lot longer. It is a fair size wrap. I think that's why I feel that way, but it's working up really, really quick. I'm very happy with how fast it's working up. So, and I'm also trying to weave in my ends as I go. I'm not going to cut them until I've washed and blocked it, but I'm trying to weave them in as I go, just because I hate weaving in ends. So yeah, it's too much at the end to weave them all in at once. Anyways, the Suburban Wrap by Jorge Locatelli. Absolutely beautiful pattern. I love all of Jorge's patterns. I just adore her work. If you head on over to Diane's podcast, Diane is the Suburban Stitcher who this shawl or this wrap was inspired by. She has a wonderful podcast. She is one of my favorite podcasts. I've watched her for years now, and she is just a lovely, sweet person. So if you do not know Diane, you have to go check out her podcast. It is, again, the Suburban Stitcher. So she is actually hosting just a casual knit along for this wrap. So if you have casted one on or would like to cast one on, you can do so and head on over to her Ravelry group and enter it in. And I don't think there's prizes for it. Like I said, I think it's just a casual knit along, but it's really inspiring to see what everybody else is doing and how they're turning out. So if that's something that you think you'd like to be interested in, do head over there and join in. So yeah. So that's what I managed to work on last week. That's all I got. So now I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the podcast in administration. That part totally disappeared from my mind. But I am going to do a random pattern giveaway as promised. So I was going to bring my tablet out here so I could show you guys the pattern, but unfortunately it needs to be charged. So I will try to have it next week, but I'm still going to announce the giveaway. So the pattern I've chosen is the Chrissy shawl. Sorry about the tracks. Sorry. I know they're loud, and I don't know if you can hear me over them sometimes. But anyways, it is the Chrissy shawl by Cozy Up Designs, and Cozy Up Designs, they also have a podcast as well. They are Cozy Up with the Stitchin' Sisters here on YouTube. So they recently came out with one of their newest patterns, the Chrissy shawl, and it is a gorgeous crescent-shaped shawl. So I am going to start a Ravelry thread over on our podcast group, and you can enter in to win a copy of the pattern. So all you have to do is join the group and just tell me what yarn you would like to use and in what colorways you would love to knit this shawl in if you were to win the pattern. That's all you gotta do. So that will be open for 2 weeks. I will mention it again on the next podcast, but it will be open for 2 weeks, and then the podcast that I do in 2 weeks, I will announce the winner of that. So make sure you head on over there to my Ravelry group, Inspired Knitting Podcast group, and I will have the thread up by the time this podcast is up. So head on over there for your chance to win a copy of the pattern. So yay! Okay, I'm now going to move on into sewing, because I do have a little bit of sewing this week. So I decided to make another project bag. I had a lot of fun last time making that project bag I shared with you guys on the last podcast. So I just get these little pieces of fabric from Walmart. So they're like 18 by 21 inches, something like that. And they're like only $2.99 for this piece of fabric. And they have some pretty colors and some pretty prints. So I figured that, it's a cheap investment to practice making bags with. I was making project bags before, but that's like over 4 years ago. I've kind of lost any skill set that I learned with that has kind of gone out the window. So it's all a learning process. So I don't want to use really good fabrics. I want to figure out what I'm doing and how these things are made before I make the good stuff. So make bags with the good stuff, I should say. So anyways, I went to Walmart and I picked out these fabrics. So here is my bag. I found this beautiful print here, which has these kitty cats on it. And if you have seen prior podcasts or my Instagram, I have a little kitty cat. Her name is Miss Rami. She's an orange kitty cat, and I love her so much. And so yeah, when I saw this, I thought of her, and I thought, okay, I need the kitty cat. So anyways, so yeah, if you watched the last podcast, my bag turned out a lot bigger. This is the same bag. This is the Squishy Project Bag by Arndt, or I think it is. I will link her channel below. She also has a website. I believe she goes by The Confessions of a Homeschooler. So she has the patterns written up on her website, as well as some tutorials on YouTube how to make this project bag, which is a zippered bag. And I think she also has like a drawstring bag and a tote bag, and she's got some really nice videos on different DIY stuff, so do check her out. So yeah, this fabric here, my main color, I actually started cutting out for a different bag, and this bag would have had like a zipper on the front. And halfway through cutting my fabric, I realized that I was not going to have enough of my main fabric, this stuff here, to make it. So I improvised, and I just decided to cut my losses and make just a smaller one of these. So I matched it with some blue, and I just did this little stitching, top stitching here on both sides. I have not the basic Singer sewing machine. I think I have the next one up. So I got some different types of stitches to choose from. So I just thought that one looked kind of cool. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell, but I also did it here as well. Put the little handle on it, my zipper, and then I have it lined inside. So this bag here is comfortably fitting my cake fingering weight yarn and my socks, so yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm not totally proud of it. There are some mistakes in here, but that's okay. I am happy with it. It's all a learning process, so I have a new sock bag and I'm happy about that. So yeah, definitely recommend this tutorial. It's very clear and very easy to follow. So yeah, that was my sewing this week. So I still have leftovers of the kitty fabric, the blue, and this stuff here. So I'm probably going to make some matching DPN cozies, because I would definitely like some more of those. And if I have enough, maybe a yarn sack as well to match. So having a lot of fun with that. It's so nice to get my sewing machine back out and in use. It's really nice. So yeah. So that was it for sewing. Now I have some stash acquisitions. So the first one I'm going to share with you guys, I've actually had this for a couple weeks now, but I forgot to share it with you guys, and I think that's kind of a good thing. I've had some time to use them. So I think it was back in December, I bought myself a interchangeable set. It was the Knitter's Pride Zings, and I really love the Zings. I know a lot of other podcasters love them as well. So there are some complaints about it because they are somewhat blunt. I love metal needles, and I love that they have a sharp tip on them. These don't have the sharpest tip on them, but the bluntness doesn't bother me either. So I don't like blunt needles at all, but these ones aren't so blunt that it drives me nuts. So highly recommend them. I really am enjoying them. So I saw that the Needle and Thorium, it's a yarn store in Toronto, Ontario. I bought my first interchangeable set from them, and I saw that they had this special set. So the special set is the shorter tips for the interchangeable cables. So when I saw that, I had to get a set of them. So here they are. I have a couple missing. I have my 3.5s I'm using for my Vivid Squares, and I have the other ones out for my Dishcloth. But here they are. It's the same as the normal set. The only difference is, like I said, they're the shorter tip. So that means that you can do like the 16-inch. You would get the 16-inch circumference, which is perfect for knitting hats and things like that. So that's why I like having them. So here it is inside, and then you just flip that up, and then you have this little section here with your, I think these are called stoppers. You put them on the cables to stop your projects from falling off, and then it comes with two of the shorter cables. So absolutely love this. I have been enjoying them. My other set that I have is the Knitter's Pride Nova Platinas. They are also the special set. They do the 16-inch circumference, and I really enjoy Knitter's Pride. I love their needles. Now the Nova ones definitely are more pointier, and I love them too. But yeah, the Zings, they just have a nicer finish to them, and how can you not love them? Like, they're so beautiful. They're like color coded, and I love the new cables. The cables feel different as well, and they are also color coded, which I love. So highly recommend these needles. I do love them. Maybe not for everybody because of the bluntness, but like I said, it's not too bad. I have worked many different projects with these since I've had them. I do lace knitting with them. They're not the greatest, but I don't have a problem with it. I'm still using them, so it all comes down to personal preference, I guess. So anyways, highly recommend the Zings. I noticed that the Needle and Thorium also has the DPN set. So that's going to be my next investment for sure. So yeah, love them. If you want to get the Knitter's Pride's interchangeable sets, I paid $100 Canadian for the regular ones, and these ones were $70, and the DPN ones are $60, I believe. So highly recommend it. They start off with a 3.5 and they go up to a 6mm. So definitely worth it. I love them. So that was my first thing. Second thing was my fabric that I got. So like I said at the beginning of the show, we went to Fabricville, and there's so much to choose from there. It's kind of overwhelming in a way. However, at the front counter, my boyfriend saw that they had some scrap bags. So they had like this nice basket set up, and they had maybe, I'm going to say 20 different scrap bags that you could choose from. So here's the first one. Each bag is got approximately 3 meters in it, and it's got 6 different individual fabrics, and it's 100% cotton, and it was only $19.99 Canadian, which I thought was a pretty good deal. Very nice. So yeah, it was hard to choose, but I ended up picking this one here, which has some really pretty floral prints in it. Pinks and beige and cream, which I really love. So there's that one. And then the second one, this one I really love. It's got the teacups on it. How pretty is that, guys? And then it's also got some cream colored ones, and it's got this pretty kind of I think it's like a star pattern, and then this blue. How beautiful is that? Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. So yeah, totally worth $20, I believe. So can't wait to use these. I wanted to automatically break into these and use them, but like I said, I want to use the cheaper stuff first, just so I can get a feel for what I'm doing and how I want my bags to be made. That way I can be reassured that when I'm making these ones that it's going to turn out okay. So yeah, super excited about this. Super excited to be adding this to my fabric stash, which isn't very big at this point, but it will be growing because I'm definitely going to go back and get some more. So there's that. And then they also have buttons there, and they have this big wall of buttons, and oh my gosh, they are so nice. So I ended up getting some individual ones, but I also picked up this bag here, which is just an assortment of rainbow colored buttons, different sizes and that. So they had these ones, they had a bag of like blacks and grays and whites, and there may have been another bag with like brown ones. Then they had like these bottles, which were like red colors and pinks and purples and greens, all that kind of thing. But I just decided to get this bag. So I don't have the patience for this, but Kaylee is actually going to pull these all out and see which ones match. So hopefully we get some sets of 4 or 6 that match. But if not, I'm definitely going to go back and maybe get another bag of these, because I think this was only like $5 for this big bag, I think. So probably going to go back and get some more just so we can have some sets there, but they're very nice. And then I end up getting some individual ones. So I end up picking out these ones here, which they're like a wooden button with like a floral type print on them. And these here range from like $2.50 up to $4, I believe, so pretty good. And I don't have a huge button selection, so I was really, really happy about this. So there's these ones here. So beautiful. And as you see, it's like only $2.50. And then I saw these and I had to get them, of course. They are kitty cats. They're wooden ones. So cute and so beautiful. Those were $3.30. And these ones I could not leave behind because they are just so beautiful. Look at that, guys. Isn't that beautiful? I have a special place in my heart for butterflies, so yeah. Love them. So pretty. So these are going in my new button stash for sure. Definitely have to get more of those. These don't have any associated projects to them. I just wanted to have some buttons in my stash because we all have those knitting projects or fabric projects that you make and you need buttons, so definitely need to have a button stash. So super excited about my new acquisitions there. Definitely we be going back there. We had a lot of fun, so you probably will be seeing more of that in the future. So anyways, yeah, that was really fun. They also had a bin of just like fashion fabrics. So there was like some jersey fabrics and knit fabrics and some fleeces, stuff like that. I think you could get like they were all scraps too, but you could get 3 of them for like $1 or something like that. I did have some picked up and then I put them back. Kind of regret that now. They would probably be good to practice making outfits with, because I wouldn't mind trying to make garments for myself, or try to make some baby garments and that. So maybe next time, I don't know. So anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. You can find show notes below. I will have that all listed, and if you head on over to the Ravelry group, you will also find show notes there as well. I post them every time. I was failing to post the direct links to the patterns before. I forgot all about that part, so the last couple episodes for sure I have been putting them in there, so you can check that out and get direct links to the patterns that I've talked about today. So do head on over there and do that. Don't forget to enter your name in for the draw for the Chrissy shawl. And yeah, I will see you guys hopefully next week. So until then, have a great crafty week and happy knitting. Bye guys.